Are you wanting to cut out a blouse? You've selected the right fabric and you've chosen the pattern you want to use, and now you want to cut it out. I'll show you how I do this. First of all, take the pattern pieces out of the envelope and check you've got the correct pieces for your pattern. You can see this on the instructions, and they give a list there of all the different pattern pieces you need for the blouse that you're going to make. No steam on the iron, and turn it down to the lowest setting, because what we're going to do is iron the pattern pieces so they're nice and flat. Iron your fabric as well so that's nice and flat, so it'd be easier to cut out your pattern pieces. If your fabric has a pattern, decide which way is going to be top so you can place all the pattern pieces all going in the correct direction. The pattern instructions will give a suggested layout for the pattern pieces on the fabric. To be honest, I normally find my own way to lay out the pattern pieces and can often save fabric. Take your time to lay the fabric out nice and flat. If you're folding the fabric in half, as I'm doing here, then ensure that the selvages match up correctly. The selvage is the finished edge on the fabric. And smooth any wrinkles. I'm looking through my pattern pieces here and checking any that need to be cut on the fold. There's one there and it says place on fold. So that one needs to have that fold line placed on the fold of the fabric. Now the other pieces, I'll play around with those and fit them in as economically as possible. Fabric costs money, I want to make sure I'm not wasting any. Do consider the direction of your pattern pieces so that they are pointing to the top of the design of your fabric that you chose earlier. Each pattern piece has a long straight arrow going down the centre of it, and that's called the grain line. Each grain line arrow needs to be straight against the selvage, the edge of the fabric. I've been playing around with my pattern pieces here and I'm quite happy that I'm wasting as little fabric as possible, and there's still plenty of fabric left for the sleeves and extra little pieces. I'm just checking there's a double layer of fabric under the pieces at the end so nothing's going to get missed. I'm using the fold of the fabric as my marker for the straight grain of the fabric, and then I'm putting the edge of the tape measure to the fold and then measuring along, checking that the arrow, the grain line arrow, measures the same distance each time, and if needs be adjust the pattern piece so that that is correctly aligned. It's important to make sure the grain line is straight on every pattern piece, because if they are cut with the grain line and a bit askew, that can alter the drape of the finished garment. I don't have pattern weights, so I use random bits and pieces that I've got in my sewing room to weigh down my pattern pieces, and honestly it works absolutely fine. If you're going to cut out with scissors, you may find it easier to pin the pattern pieces to the fabric, but I've got a rotary cutter and a self-healing cutting mat, and I like to cut out this way instead. I'll generally cut out one piece and then check the placement of the second piece and weigh that down and cut it out in turn. Here I'm showing you a close-up of the grain line and me measuring the piece, making sure that it's all level and even against the fold of the fabric. And now I'm weighing it down, ready to cut it out. I'm using a pen that is removed by heat. To mark the fabric where the different sizes overlap, I want to preserve the pattern for future use in case I want to make a different size down the line. And now I will finish cutting out that piece, going along my dotted line that I drew on the fabric. You may have notches on your pattern that look something like these. This is a multi-size pattern, so there's different notches for each size, and I like to just take this tip of the scissors and snip into them, but making sure I don't go into the seam allowance. To help when constructing the garment later, I like to fold each cut piece with its pattern piece just to help me down the line. And here are all my pieces cut out, ready to be sewn into a blouse.